response. But the question is, have you experienced workspaces that had gender parity? And what special ingredient do you think women in tech bring to a role or a team?
I'll go first again. Deja vu. I would say my current company, ThoughtWorks, has gender parity. I'm not saying that we're perfect, we're really not. There is a lot more that we could do as a business, but I think we make a really good start. I think we really care about women in tech and gender equality. 33% of our workforce is women. 50% of our graduate intake are females. So yeah, I think we make a lot of effort. We really try, but we try to be inclusive as well, rather than just get women in. How do we create a good workspace for females? So I would say, yeah, my current company, which I feel really honoured and really looking for.
Hera, thoughts?
You're very lucky. In the 5 years that I worked in tech, I actually have never worked in an organization that had more than 10 to 20% women. It just made me really conscious that I was a woman, and it's really fascinating that now that I'm working with more women on Chen and Empower Hack, the dynamics are really different. I really enjoy working it. There are little things that you don't realize, and then just you figure out that in this more women-rich environment, teams work better, and it feels less constrained. There's less stress. So I mentioned that there are a couple of studies that have come out recently about how teams which have more women leaders have less stress levels, do better, are more productive. And my theory about that is that women we're brought up to have better social skills. So through no desire of our own, society brings us to be more aware of each other, of each other's feelings, moods, but also about how being very rational, as Vinita was saying before, that we're forced to be rational, and in teams that is exactly pragmatic. In teams, that's excellent.
Yeah. And I was actually quoting an example of the conversation that I had with someone at an e-commerce application app company on Friday, and we were just having this random conversation about the technologies that they use at their place for building applications, and why do they use those versus why do they not use other languages which are out there, which probably could be better business-wise. And the only answer that I was hearing again and again was, you know what, this is an engineering team decision, this language is so cool, it works, this language sucks, and there wasn't even any a proper answer to that question on why did you choose one language over another. And the fact that the person wasn't even admitting that they did not do that analysis, and it's okay to go ahead with the language of your choice, but I guess you should be open to accept that. And I guess it's just more about how you perceive people, how you come across. And I guess as women, I think we just come across more pragmatically, as what Hera was saying, and then we try to take team along with us. We give them rationale, we give them reasons, we always explain them on why certain decisions were taken, rather than just enforcing and saying, this is cool, let's do it. So I think,
and to just pick up on what you said, I think it's because we are told that we can be bossy, so we feel like we have to explain ourselves.
We have to justify ourselves.
Exactly. Everything that we have to do, we have to justify it. Yeah. And I was quoting something before that this really shocking, for a lot of people, really shocking study came out about how men view women's code worse than their peers when it's actually not. So, and I feel like that for women who come into organizations, this is not just code. I mean, through various medical profession has this, like loads of professions have it. So we try extra hard when we're in a team, and we shouldn't have to, but we do.
Yeah, and actually there was this recent article that also came out about number of pull requests that gets approved and reviewed, and apparently it says that majority of the pull requests that gets approved are from women developers, but the moment approver tend to know the gender of the person who has sent the pull request, they would tend to deny those if they come from minority groups, you could say, or women's.
And this was about open source projects as well, which was really, really shocking.
And to that, I have heard some conversations about the reason why that happens is because most of the pull requests that comes in are more about adding a comma here and there, more about just changing the format and stuff like that. And that's why women's pull requests tend to get accepted more than men's, which is completely ridiculous.
Have you ever experienced gender parity in a workspace, Eddie?
I've had the opportunity of working on quite a few projects where it hasn't been balanced, it hasn't been 50-50 at all, anywhere close to that, but it has opened my eyes, definitely, to see how another point of view really helps. And I think, like you mentioned, I think us guys, we do love our shiny new technology, and where it might not be the right decision for the role. I think that's where experience comes in, and having worked with a balanced team, certainly.
Could I answer the question as
Sure.
well? I think, so coming from my perspective, I'm working at Code First Girls. I have a fairly skewed vision. I'm working with 3,500 community members. We've got around 150 volunteers, so volunteer instructors. And
Are they all girls?
No, so this was actually what I was going to bring up. Out of those volunteers, we have around 60% are men, around 40% are women. So actually, some of our biggest advocates are men. I think it can be problematic sometimes to make generalizations about gender. Certainly from what we do, everything, all of our courses, all our events are for women. We're addressing the fact that there's less than 17% of women in tech and telco, and actually that figure's gone down since 1980s. We have more women in tech. What's happening? It's complicated, but I would say that some of our, the men are a really important part of what we're doing, and some of our biggest advocates, and really helping us to achieve change as well.
Eddie, from a man's perspective, what do you view as the